Hi, welcome to Neo Talks podcast, where we cover tips, strategies, and testimonials from the IT service operations world. In this episode, our CEO talks with Patrick Niessen, the head of global enterprise service management at MANN+HUMMEL, who'll be sharing his insights into the latest project and also confirming CMDB is not just a data dump.
Thanks, Patrick, for being on the podcast. So, do you want to do a brief introduction of yourself and company, the MANN+HUMMEL, for us, for the audience?
Yes, well, thanks a lot, Chirag, for inviting me to this podcast. Also a big honor. And let me introduce myself. My name is Patrick. I work at MANN+HUMMEL. MANN+HUMMEL, worldwide leading filtration company. I'm there for about 3 years and responsible for enterprise service management, specifically everything to do with process, the help desk, and also the ServiceNow platform. I am now the platform owner for ServiceNow, and I've been working with this software for about 7 years. Just last word about MANN+HUMMEL. I mean, we have a motto which is separate the useful from the harmful. And we basically have a history of being a supplier for the automobile industry, oil filters, cabin air filters, intake filters. But we also work for heavy duty equipment, but also industrial processes and liquid filtration. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. If you can ask, what were your main challenges when it came to CMDB and Discovery?
Yeah, CMDB and Discovery, I think no one could say it's easy for anyone. They always have a pretty rocky journey. And so I think one of the biggest challenge we faced was to get really the cooperation from all the teams in the company. And we have a pretty much a spread out IT department. We have some global IT, we have local ITs, we have a shared service IT organization, and to get everyone in this huge organization to work together for our target of getting a good CMDB, that was the biggest challenge of all, I think. And after that, another topic that was really troublesome is always security. It's also linked to the topic I just mentioned before, because whenever people do not want to collaborate, they will cite security concerns for it. And so to make discovery in a way that is secure is first of all a big challenge, and we need to talk so much with the various parties in the company and the CISO, the cybersecurity team, all the individual teams, anyone who cares about the systems, they will always come up with security concerns. So that was a big challenge that we overcame in the end. And
Yeah.
finally, I mean, there are some people like myself and probably Chirag, you also, you really love the topic of CMDB, right?
Yes.
But it's very challenging to get other people as excited about a topic as you and I are. Yeah, so
That's
that's
true.
one of
Very
the
true.
key points.
I
Yeah.
think a lot of people try to stay away from it, or they don't try to look into it just for and that's where things don't go in the right direction. But yeah, you're absolutely right in that way.
Yeah. I also
Yeah,
think it's difficult because people don't understand what it is. And
yeah,
we have a clear vision if we look forward, where we want to be and how we're going to use it. But those people don't. And the challenge is how can you show them the end result and the journey, and also make sure that they get enough trust to embark with you on
yeah.
the journey.
Yeah, I think so. The most important part which you touched upon is the collaboration and the support. I
Yeah.
think for CMDB and ITOM both, it's not one person's job. It is the collaborative work needed by support has to be supported by individual all the team. You name it security or infrastructures or application or database, everyone should think this is their database and not it is ServiceNow's database, ServiceNow platform architect's job, not my job. I think once they change that, methodology that, this is my database, and I think things will automatically start changing. Because
You're
then they know
absolutely
this is
right.
my data, I have to move it right.
Yes,
So I think
you're
it's a shared
absolutely right.
responsibility.
What you describe is exactly how it happened when we first started. Before you joined this effort,
Yeah,
we always got complaints. Hey, I tried to create this change, but didn't find the CI in the CMDB. Yeah.
yeah,
So and then they complain it's a poor quality CMDB, and they were expecting that somehow magically the ServiceNow team would do everything for them.
yeah,
Yeah. And so only, I mean, when you came in, you actually explained that the ServiceNow team is the platform provider,
yeah,
and we can do some sort of quality check and have mechanisms by which to assess the health of the CMDB. But to make sure the data is correct and all the necessary CIs are in there, we cannot make
yeah.
it happen. It has to happen by the people responsible for the system,
I
by
mean,
giving firewall access or allowing us to install the agent on it, and that's the only way. Yeah,
yeah, I
and
mean, all
so
the teams have to join hands together for a successful CMDB. That's
yeah,
for sure. And that is the only mantra for CMDB to be successful. If you want a success in CMDB, all the teams, in the organization have to join hands who are responsible for the CMDB or who are consuming from CMDB. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the next question I would like to ask, what made you choose us, as a partner and how are we different from others?
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons was that we're a little bit burned by the previous partner who helped us with the implementation of ITOM,
Yeah.
and we could recognize we had good experience with this partner before, but in the field of CMDB they were not really strong enough, and a lot of things. The impression we had is that we actually pay for them to learn it, and the outcome was not very good. So then I was keeping asking around who could help us. Yeah,
Yeah.
and my belief is that a lot of partners uh, they sometimes they claim they can do everything, but it's not true. We have people inside these companies, and they change sometimes. But most of the partners they're very good at one topic or two topics or three topics that are related, and some areas they're weaker. And so that's also why I have the policy of always using partners for their strong points and not have one general partner for everything. And so I was very Neo came highly recommended to me, and after calling you and talking to you, describing the issues we're facing, I got really good feeling that you really understood what this all was about, what needs to be done, and then going further in our negotiation and procurement process. So afterwards working together, we found really Neo provided a really good mix of expertise, flexibility, and also value. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. That's always, I believe in that. We need to understand the problem statement before saying yes or no to anything. You need
Mm.
to get that problem statement first, try to realize how can we deal, and then go with the solutions rather than simply yes, we can do this, we cannot do this. I know results are not completely achieved; it's a long way. CMDB always, is an ongoing process. But have you started seeing some positive feedbacks or the changes in the organization?
Yeah, it's as you say. I mean, it's never ending. You cannot stop paying attention to the CMTP because it's just so at the center of everything we do. And so what we I can say now that the project is finished, what we can see is we have significantly expanded the coverage of the discovery process. We reach many more areas that we were not able to touch before, and also the completeness and accuracy is greatly improved. So some of the mechanism your team put in place, it immediately shows on a dashboard that something is missing, and so of course we need still some team member, our configuration manager, to get in touch with the people who can provide this missing data and coach them to do it better. But we have a much better state. Whenever I pick a random CI, I check in, it looks good. It's not incomplete. Everything makes sense. Then I think from an organizational viewpoint, also the operating teams take the whole issue more seriously. So they realize we're responsible for it. Also, it helps us. So they are really willing now to do a good job. And so it's also, I mean, it was also not an easy journey for them. So
I know.
considering that, I'm very happy that we raised the awareness to that level, and even perhaps an understanding. And I think my feeling is some of them would walk together with me and us in the future to be an active part of improving it.
Yeah.
So, and finally, I mean, the basic discovery functions and have a good CMDB, it really is only the starting point, because the next level, and that's what we already started now, is to go figure out the application services and link them to the CIs. Yeah. Previously, it was
Yeah.
not possible because we know the application, but we don't have the CIs. And furthermore, create dynamic CI groups. Even with more modern technology, we cannot rely on manually adding systems to service. Yeah. So that's what we just started, and it was not possible before. So thanks for that, Chirag. Good work on
No,
that.
that's. I think it's all about empowerment of the people, right? For any successful project, it's not only from the partners, but always from the customer side as well. I think the
Yeah.
moment we empower the team or the persons from the customer side, teach them right way and make them understand this is how it should be done, and show the true value, right? Then automatically
Exactly.
they
Yeah.
that's when they start taking interest. Then they don't think, oh, it's someone else. Yes, it's just matter of we showing the potential to the right people in the right way. Just right messaging and the right message goes in, and then things starts falling in place automatically, right?
Yes, correct. And that's really one thing we also appreciated, that you transferred the knowledge very effectively. Because I mean, the technology is one thing to set up, but also to teach people how to use the technology. That's also a challenge. Yeah. So I think
Yes.
that worked really, really well.
Yeah. Next question, which I'm going to ask, I think some of the answers you already gave, but still I will ask. How was the experience working with our team?
I think it worked pretty well. And I mean, most of the issues, there's no project without issues. They were experienced on our side, really.
Yeah.
And to get people to realize who are they talking to, why are we using them, what we'll get out of it. And I think this was pretty good. After a short time, all the teams, they developed some trust to you and the team. And so what we appreciate was really this technical understanding, the depth of the technical knowledge you guys had. And then further, for us as a large corporation, we always have to juggle multiple projects in parallel,
Yeah.
which puts a huge strain on the limited resources we have. And so sometimes it's very hard to, for us, even though we're paying for it, for the service, but for us to take the meetings in the time that we agreed. And so whenever a higher priority job comes, there's people had to jump on it. But I really appreciate the Neo team who are super flexible with the scheduling, and basically we could make the meeting anytime, and you guys would be there and help and support it. There's no discussion about it. Yeah. And also, I thought it was very useful because you also have team members in India, and our operating team is located in Bangalore. And so it was very good, I think, to communicate it directly between your consultants and our team. I think this lifted a lot of barriers that we normally face, like cultural barriers or language barriers and so on. And so that was also really super useful for us.
Are there any other service solutions are you looking forward to implement in MANN+HUMMEL? Which are the key one which you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a a great market situation at the moment. So we have to be quite selective on the sort of things we're going ahead with.
Yeah.
We already have some ServiceNow modules that we couldn't use, mainly because the CMDB was not in good shape. And so we are now planning this year to really go full power on those two. One is the hardware asset management function that really helps us to better cope with things like outdated hardware, replacement cycles, make sure we don't have any dangerous equipment in our systems, but also control the stock levels and be able to detect theft or shrinkage early enough.
Yeah.
The second module we already have and we couldn't use, and that's even more important, is the software asset management. We plan to go also full power on that one this year to try to or not try, we will make it, is to do all these the true ups for the software makers by using ServiceNow and put minimum strain on the people. In the past, we had some little bit disasters in internal process on sometimes with the result that people had to count the licenses manually, and that was not a good experience for anyone. So our hope really is to be able to make this super efficient so that any day of the year we could just say, press a button and get the necessary data for such a true up or audit. And we have another few projects. It's the early year this year. We have another couple of plans. One is the vulnerability management. That's actually in progress now.
Okay.
The vulnerability management will help us to, how can I explain it? Some software makers, they provide great tools to scan your systems and identify vulnerabilities. But that's not the key point. The key point is, how do you react to them? How do you orchestrate the fixing, and how, without putting extra strain on it, how can people, how can we know those vulnerabilities are fixed? And so that's also a ServiceNow solution that we're currently implementing. Then, as you know, Chirag, last year, we went ahead with the employee center. And since then, we started with HR. We added IT and IT for IT as new areas of that portal that we are doing. And we will push this more and more this year, also with some campaigns, awareness campaigns. We want to encourage people to use self-service because we provide a lot of knowledge inside the portal, but also we have exactly the right forms to request things for you. And what we want to do is to really increase also the level of automation of these processes. So that's one of the biggest things that I'm most excited about this year. And finally, the one that's could be on the roadmap is facility management. There's a module called Workspace Service Delivery in ServiceNow, and we would like to use it to manage our visitors, to book seating and facilities and so on, and also do case management.
Okay. It's really good to see, how the possibilities is, multiplied, X into X, whatever you want to. Once, your CMDB sorted out, like HAM, SecOps, all those things, one good thing you do, and then, more possibilities, pops up, right? That yes, now this is sorted out, let's look into that, and we can bring more return on investment. Because then all this product, what the first thing comes to mind, how will you get return on investment? And fixing one thing, one CMDB, gives you a possibility to escape and go deep dive into other topics like event management or SecOps or,
Correct.
All those areas, isn't it? It's amazing. And it's really good to know that. What advice would you offer to the organizations similar like yours and they are facing challenges with CMDB discovery? What they should, like lessons learned from your journey. If I'm sure there will be some organizations who are still facing, CMDB and discovery. What would be your advice to them?
I mean, it's not the first time I tried to introduce a CMDB, and like from both sides, I think the most important thing is that you secure backing from top management and get a clear mandate. So um, otherwise, if you don't have this clear message out from the top management, you'll always face resistance and reluctance to collaborate. So then I think in a similar way, we mentioned security before. I think it's important to have a good report and bring on board the security team right from the beginning, so that they can feel comfortable with the solutions that we implement. Yeah. And also, I mean, it's not just like security are the bad boys who always say no, but in fact, they can be very useful partners in the implementation, and they can also come up with solutions to some real issues. Yeah? Because let's not forget, if you have one hack, it can destroy your whole company. Yeah? So that's why that's a really good idea. Yeah. Did you have that with other customers that you?
Yeah, there's always, I think item and security. Exactly. I think items first challenge starts with security. Put it that way. And that's a fair point. It has to be because, the level of privileges initially, you have to give. And totally, we understand, why security is always against of having those things. And the good part is ServiceNow also listens to all those, feedback what they're getting. So every, new releases, we get more secure, more different ways of doing discovery, right? Initially, when discovery was released, there was no agents. Now we have agents, they are listening, right? So they don't
Yes.
want to open up so many ports. We don't want to create credentials, this and that. So now there is another option. You are with the agents.
Mm-hmm.
Go with the agent-based discovery. There is another alternative. Yes, it is a discovery. Initial version of agent was not supporting SAM. Now the new version not supporting SAM.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so that lessons learned, from all the feedback what we are getting from the security is crucial because that is helping us as the partners and our feedback when it goes to the service now. It helps their development team as well, to evaluate and to address those issues, right? And and I think so we should listen to all the security aspects,
Yeah.
and yeah, and if they are convinced with the solution, I think half of the battle is won in ITOP. You know,
True.
you
But yeah, I mean, but what the other side of the coin is that if you don't know well about your systems and your infrastructure, that's also a security risk in itself. Yeah.
exactly, yeah,
So we need to make a trade-off, right, at some stage and say it's better to know what we have and then in order to be able to protect it effectively. Yeah.
yeah,
So that's
absolutely,
that's very important. Yeah. I have another bit of advice. I got myself a little list before this call.
sure, yeah,
When I thought about this subject, and I think the communication part is so important. Yeah, you need to communicate with the whole organization, anyone who is remotest affected by the CMDB effort, by discovery, and seek the dialogue with them. And you have to give them some way to articulate their fears, their worries, their concerns. And it doesn't mean that you have to make everyone happy, but you have to be firm and give a clear message, set clear expectations, and also show them that you take their concerns seriously.
yeah,
If you
yeah,
just do it over their head, I don't think it will work very well. It will not be a smooth interaction.
yeah,
And yeah, I think the you mentioned it before. It's not we own it, you own it, but in this case, it's very important to make the right people accountable and responsible for their part of the activities. They need to understand it's not up to someone else but to themselves. And once you have achieved that, that's very good. And the final
yeah,
advice, this is CMDB configuration management, same as all the other processes my team is managing. You need to keep checking that people do the right thing, right? The moment they believe you're not looking, they go sloppy and the data quality will decrease. Yeah. So
Yes.
it's good to trust, but checking is even better.
Yes, that was a really good piece of advice. Having one-off training when the project is going on, you do the training, either project partner do it, deliver it, or customer, you guys do it. And if you think that is the only thing we need to do and job done, no, I think that's completely wrong. Especially when it comes to CMDB. I think there has to be always a quarterly or 6 months, or at least once in a year. Do the workshop, do the awareness campaign, just teach again, not teach again, but just to explain this is how it works, this is what the process is, the ratio matrix, the benefits, any questions, because just making a statement that yes, we have done everything, it is on the SharePoint, and if you expect a new journal to log into the SharePoint and go through all those videos, is not going to have work. I think it's CMDB owners have to take that into account. That run that campaign. If you run that campaign, probably once in a year, if it is not too much of effort, but at least do it. In that way, everyone, if somebody has forgotten, it's reminded to them. A lot of people leave the organization, new people join, and for them it's new knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Because that may not be their priority. Today they may be part of some storage team or Windows team.
Yeah.
That is not their priority. Focus is how can I patch a server, how can I provision a server. But when you explain once in a year about this workshop, then they realize, oh, I need to do this as well. And then they start following.
Absolutely right. And I think it helps if you have a learning management system. Yeah? If you can, then even if you feel some teams, they have difficulties to work up to expectation, you can just send them back to the training again and let them repeat it. But I mean, what we have a SharePoint with a very good documentation, and we tell people step by step how they can achieve it, including some hints what they should keep in mind, how to fill out these forms. Yeah, it's not this is data field, put this data in, but what you need to think about before you select the right data to put into that field, and that's important. Yeah. We do that, but it could be better. I say. We should go to the next level with quizzes, certification, and so on. I think that would be the best.
Yeah, I know. And I think so. I know you guys have done an excellent job. I think in the last few weeks when we were working on the project, I know Thomas Kuska from your side and the amount of campaign he has led along with teachers here from our side, conducting those trainings. And I know 50 or 60 people were joining. That was like amazing. And, it was really good, that campaign. So, that was good. Any more advice? I was seeing the advices coming, we keep on talking on.
There's lots of advice you can give, but of course,
exactly.
I mean,
the ones which are more important, right? But tons of things can be done.
Yeah.
In a different context, different way, different organization, different challenges, right?
Yeah. I mean, one advice maybe keep a bottle of whiskey handy just in case. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. How is the journey, being with ServiceNow and with us and in general,
Yeah, I think the thing that I always notice, and that's the first benefit you get out of the platform, is whenever you onboard a new team, if you set up a new module and so on, one thing that's really the killer in terms of productivity and value is that it immediately creates transparency. So at that moment or before, no one knows what's going on. Like you do patches or changes on a system, but you don't record it anywhere. If you're lucky, you know the person doing it, and that's how you learn about it. But now using change management together with CMDB, it doesn't stay invisible. And in fact, with the platform, we could change the unauthorized changes and then track that and follow it up and ask people why they're doing that and make them accountable for that. So it creates this transparency. We have some experience with onboarding service teams and moving them away from a shared mailbox and creating cases from that. This was an incredible amount of gaining gaining traction and transparency, and suddenly we know how long does it take to process it, and where does it get stuck, and are the people happy about the service? All this can be done by ServiceNow. It's a really powerful platform, but you also need to teach people how to use it properly. And so often rely on partners like Neo. And I think ServiceNow is also getting pretty good at providing also free knowledge, free learning, but
Yes.
also they have excellent courses for pay for, whereas I think pretty worth a pretty good value to pay for some of those courses.
Yep.
And I think one point is, and that's also the most difficult one, is to get a good partner. So how do you
Yes.
identify the right partner and someone you can trust, someone who can think just like you about the organization, even, and it's pretty hard because
Yeah.
you're outsider. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys do it, but it's a good job to go in and understand how we tick, how we are structured, where the issues, and then help it. So the partner for me is critical. As you know, the policy we have is that we use partners whenever we have a new module to introduce, when you need architecture advice, when we have a specific topic to help us along with. And so I'm quite happy with the choice we made with Neo and your team. So thanks a lot for your support.
No, thanks. And no, I think the way I look at it always is any new project which you do, any client, I just think that I am the client, and let's look at that way rather than being an outsider and looking things and try to solve things never works. You have to think that if I'm Patrick, how will I handle this situation? So that's the only mantra I follow. I just assume that I'm a client. It's this is my issue. I have to fix it. Nobody else has to fix it. And that's the way I always think about it.
It's now that you mention it, it's probably the same way I'm looking at my internal customers. Yeah. So because I'm not thinking so technical. You always have engineers who think about a technical solution, the software, how to install it and so on. But I'm always thinking, but is this friendly to the user? Do they really want that? And what is the actual issue we want to solve? And so I suppose that's the key. I mean, as you mentioned it, you try to put yourself in someone else's shoes and start thinking from that point onwards, and then use your knowledge and your experience, right?
Yeah. Then there is always a clash because yes, there are set of requirements for a tool. There is a viewpoint which is told, and then you try to just impose that. That's never work. He's saying something. Let's assume I'm that person. Does it make sense? And then we can always find out a way of solution over there. But yeah, thanks for that. I would surprise, but I would like you to break a myth which is going around, in CMDB especially.
Yeah.
There's a myth, and I would like you to know what's that myth, yeah? CMDB is just a data dump with no real business value. Because people think about it. And there is a myth about it,
Yeah.
If you
This the data dump. Well, yes, I mean, sometimes it's like that, right? We also have some other systems, and they were used before, and then people say, yeah, but we have all the data in this system, yeah, and say, okay, let's check. You look inside, and it's even not up to date, yeah. Then I can say it really is a data dump, yeah. And so the key point is it's a living object, and it's the place where you look whenever you have a question. And to understand, for example, I mean, imagine possibilities if we know all the relationships, and then we see which service is actually interrupted by this network issue, and predict. You can check the time scale when they start business hours, or they have 4 more hours to fix it. Yeah, let's try to do it. Let's bring on the way because there's a critical system on the other side. How would you know that? It's only it's less a data dump, but it's stuck in some of the old members of the organization. It's all in their head. But now some of them retire soon, yeah, and others they leave, and then we have newcomers. And how can you keep this knowledge up? For this system, I look here. For another system, we have documentation here. Yeah, and So this is not feasible. I don't think it's a data dump. It's a living organism. And it's like, do you remember the Tamagotchi? Do you remember the Tamagotchis, Chirag? It's like that. You have to keep feeding it, otherwise it will die.
I know. Yeah, it's really amazing. People still think that, after so many years, and it's like amazing. After so many years, you're maybe around in the market, and so many partners, vendors explaining what value it can bring. Still, there are people with this method, yes, same we just ate it up, it's really shocking,
Yeah.
to hear that sometimes, at times. But yeah,
And I think if you look at it, actually ServiceNow is expanding the CMDB concept to other areas. For example, the facilities management, it will use a CMDB for your furniture, for your fire extinguisher and so on.
yeah,
And I saw also in the last conference they now trying to go a lot into the OT operation technology area and factories
yes,
and use a CMDB for factory machines and equipment, and to schedule maintenance and so on. I
yeah,
mean, it seems to be a proven concept, I would say.
yeah. Operational technology is one emerging area where, especially with the automotive industry,
Mm.
manufacturing industry, I think a lot of attraction is going in that direction, and ServiceNow has just cracked that, whole thing, and the
Mm.
solution is pretty, robust in that way. Yeah,
Mm.
it's amazing. But yeah, thanks, Patrick. Be our first client coming on the podcast for us. It means a lot to us, the whole team, and we are thankful that we were able to achieve the result which you were expecting from us.
Thank you very much, Chirag. I'm also honored. This is my first podcast. I hope we did a good job on it, and let's see.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode. We hope you got great value out of it. And let us know in the comments if you agree with Patrick or you think the CMDB is still just a data dump. We really want to hear your thoughts. And make sure you follow us on all social media. All of the links to connect with us will be in the description below. Once again, thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one real soon.